Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishnah Gittin, Parak Test, Chapter 9, Mishnah Ches, Mishnah 8. Today's Mishnah is sponsored by the Garland children, Zeich Nishbis, in memory of their uncle, Gavriel ben Vaishanachem, his Neshama should have an Aliyah.
Amen.
All right, so we started the first half of the Mishnah. Let's just read through it quickly. Get Shekasavai Ivris V'edav Yavanis, a get that was written in Hebrew, but the witnesses signed using the Greek script. Yavanis V'edav Ivris, it was written in Greek, but the Adam signed in Hebrew. Eid Echad Ivri, V'echad Yavani. One is a witness is in Hebrew, the other one is in Greek. Ksav Sefer V'eid. What you have here is of the two signatures. One of the signatures, we see it was the Sofer, the one who wrote it. He's also signing as a witness. Kosher, in all these cases, the get is kosher. Ish Plani Aid, kosher. If a witness signs Ish Plani, meaning his first name, then the word Aid, kosher. It's acceptable. It's valid. Then Ish Plani Aid, kosher. If Leslie just says the son of his father's name, but he has the word Aid, it's kosher. It's valid. Ish Plani ben Ish Plani. If he has his name and his father's name, but like Kasav Aid and didn't write the word Aid, kosher. It's valid. And this is what the Nikiya Das, which they translated as a prayer mind of Yerushalayim, did, that they just wrote their name and their father's name, wrote the word Aid. Instead of writing the son of so-and-so by, or the daughter of so-and-so, by the man and the woman who are the ones getting divorced in the get, but instead of writing that, they wrote the family name. The halacha is that the get is kosher. Okay. Now, this is what we're up to. Now we're going to talk about a completely different halacha. Nothing related to what we said before. Get ma'usa b'Yisrael. A get ma'usa means a get that is forced upon the husband. We know that a husband has to consent to the divorce. A woman, according to Torah law, does not need to consent to the divorce. When she gets it, she's divorced. But you need the husband's consent. And therefore, if you have a situation where he was forced into divorcing her, then that should be problematic. So the Mishnah says like this: Get me'usa b'Yisrael. If a get was given because the husband was forced, but he was forced through Yisrael, that means it was done through a Jewish court. The Jewish court is what is forcing him. The Jewish court forcing him means that they are beating him up. They are physically forcing him to agree to give his wife a get. So if he says, I agree to give the get, I want to give the get, right, sa'ani, I want to give it, kosher. The halacha is the get is kosher. So if it was being done through a beis din, kosher. Uvegayim, but if it was done through a non-Jewish court, puzzle. Then it's not going to work, even though he says, okay, I agree, I want to give the get. Ubegayim, now, that means like this. Ubegayim chayftin oisai, and if the situation is where the ones beating him up are non-Jews. But they're telling him, Asay Masha Yisrael Oimrim Lach. Do what the Jews, meaning do what the beis din is telling you to do. The kosher. Then the halacha is that it's going to be valid. Now, why are we forcing this guy to give a get? The answer is because there are a number of men who are obligated to give their wives a get. For example, if she cannot live with him because he is physically repulsive, which the Mishnah and Ksibis talk about. He's repulsive. He's got this kind of disease and he becomes repulsive. She does not have to stay married to him. Now, but she can't give a divorce because she can't do that. Divorce has come from the husband. And the husband's not agreeing. Or there could be other reasons why the Chachamim, the beis din, can force him to give a get. Okay, well, the beis din calls him in, you got to give your wife a get. And he says no. So what does beis din eventually come to the point of doing? They come to the point of physically beating him to the point that he's going to say, okay, I agree. Now, in that situation where the beis din is doing it, is being done by a rabbinical court, then the halacha is, it would be kosher. Why is that? Because, so first of all, again, he has to say, I agree. He has to say straight out, I agree, right, Sonny? I want to give the get. Now you're going to say, okay, isn't he only doing that under duress? So all he's doing is under duress. So why is this considered okay? And the answer is because if a beis din is telling him to do it, then it's a mitzvah for him to listen. He's got to do it, right? He has an obligation, according to Jewish law, to listen. And when he's not listening, now here is a famous, I'm going to read to you here from the bottom, this is a famous citing from the Rambam. Every Jew's basic will is to fulfill the mitzvahs properly. That is the basic will of every Jew. This person refused to give a get only because his evil inclination kept him from doing the right thing. But when he finally says, I want to give it, it is because in his heart he does want to listen to the court. Even though the statement was brought about by forcing him, he is fulfilling his true will by giving the get. And sometimes the person really wants to do the right thing, but he's caught up in whatever it may be. His Eitz Sahara gets the best of him. But deep down we know he wants to do the mitzvahs. And therefore, if we beat him to the point that he says, okay, I agree, that means his true will is coming out. And therefore, we can say that there's not a coerced get. He agreed to it. But if, let's say, the situation is where a non-Jewish court is doing it, she decided, right, to get a non-Jewish court involved to do it, and the non-Jewish court is beating him up, and he says, okay, I'll do it. Then the halacha is it's not a good get, because there's no mitzvah to listen to the Goyish court, and therefore, since there is no mitzvah to listen to the Goyish court under these circumstances, the halacha is that even though he says, I agree, you can't say it's his true will and desire to listen to the court, and therefore it's considered a forced get, and therefore the get is no good. However, let's say the people beating him up are non-Jewish, but they are saying, right, they're telling him that we are agents of the Beis Din, meaning the Beis Din told him to give her a get, and he's not doing it. And the Beis Din doesn't have the ability, right, to force him. For whatever reason, they can't force him. So what do? They hire a couple of guys. Yeah, I figure you said it was his name. And they hire a couple of guys to go ahead and get the job done. Now, they're going over to him, they're beating him, they're saying, give your wife a get. But they're telling him while they're beating him, do what the Beis Din tells you, which means they are telling him that we are agents of the Beis Din. Oh, they're agents of the Beis Din, he's supposed to listen. Now he says he's supposed to be listening. And therefore, if at the end, from this session of convincing, the Allah, he gives in, he says, Reitzani, then that Reitzani is a Reitzani to his real desire of listening to the Beis Din, of doing the mitzvahs, of doing what he's supposed to do. And therefore, in that case, we say that the get is going to be kosher. Have a wonderful day, wonderful Shabbos.
Beat the hell out of them.